so I understand that some people here don't actually want to attend this talk. They prefer to just stay in this room while everyone else goes over there and makes a loud noise. So I'm really sorry about that, but I hope you'll make the best of a bad situation. And you're welcome to just completely ignore me and put headphones in if it's just not what you're interested in. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. So first of all, I thought I'd just kick things off by actually recording you, the audience, making some drum sounds, which I would like to incorporate into this talk.
With our mouths?
So I'm just turning on my audio recorder. Okay, so let's start with a clap, because that's easy and you don't really have to work hard for it. Hold on. Okay, give me a nice loud clap. Alright, now, how about a hi-hat? So everyone just go tss. 1, 2, 3, and a kick drum. So I'd like everyone to stomp when I go like that. So I'll count you in, then I'll go like this. 1, 2, 3. And what else? Snare? Yeah, let's do a snare. Okay, what does a snare sound like? I'll let you guys imagine something. And 1, 2, 3. Some random. Everyone go like, hey, or something. 1, 2, 3. Hey! And something a little bit more melodic, maybe. Like, does anyone here actually sing? Like, you know.
Hell yeah!
Can I just get like you to do that again, really loudly in this direction?
Totally sweet, yeah!
That'll be alright. Okay. So, bear with me while I copy those files to my computer.
Yeah, I want to produce a sponsor us.
No, we can't. There's no way out. Dinosaurs are going wild.
Mikey, did you see Patrick? I just got a message from Mitch.
Okay, we're ready to start now. Hey, I'm Matt, and I'm from New Zealand, and I use computers to make music, but recently something strange happened, and now I make software to make music with computers, and it's really just a roundabout way of the first thing, but this way's harder, and I like my life to be harder, so the whole point of making the software is to make your life easier, and that's kind of the point. So this is my software here that I've made. It's called Loop Drop, and it's what I was using last. This mic is slipping. Why did they do that? It's what I was using last night to play the show. So what I have loaded here. what I have loaded here is the first song I played last night. So I have a one-to-one correspondence between sounds I've set up in my app here. So that's some drums, and you can see when I push the buttons in this area here, sounds that I've dropped on this part of the grid will play. Pretty standard, but where Loop Drop gets kind of neat is that you don't actually have to play everything in time. You can just put it into beat repeat mode and start holding down things, and they'll trigger perfectly in time with the beat. And then you can push that button and it will loop what you just played. So it goes back in time and it grabs what you played, and now it will play forever until I tell it not to. And so I've loaded a whole bunch of sounds into the other pad over here too. So I've got some random vocals. It's actually a YouTube video. I like sampling YouTube videos. And over here I can control parameters like and volume level and stuff. So now I'm going to grab the sounds that we recorded just before and try and make a song really quickly out of them. So I add my hardware, so I've got two launch pads, so I've added them both into the system, and now I choose, let's get a slicer, and I'll drop the file that we recorded before into the program. And there's probably going to be all me talking in here mostly, so let's just see what happens when I've done this. You get the point. So, yeah, how did this happen? This that you just saw is 100% web. It's web technology, it's web audio, it's web MIDI. Actually, it's maybe 99.9% web. So, this is an Electron application. And basically what Electron is, I have a slide for this, but it was further on, I've just changed everything around. Electron is a way of combining Node.js and Chromium together into a single package. So you get everything you get on the web, but you also get everything you get in Node. So the only thing I'm using from Node, apart from the offline bit, is that I'm storing files directly on the user's hard drive rather than trying to do some crazy local storage thing. But I'll come back to that later. So this app was basically inspired by, well, it wasn't that I sat down and designed this. I was playing music with certain tools that I found had issues. So I was using something called Native Instruments Machine, which I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but it's kind of like old school drum machine sampler, but brought into the future, sort of, kind of. So it lets you kind of do a lot of things that Loop Drop does, but you sort of have to settle your patterns up beforehand. So I wanted to be able to, on the fly, go, oh, I'm going to play this new bass line now, or I want to just change this drum beat into a completely different thing. And you can do that with Machine, but you'd have to push record, then play your thing, and then push stop. And what happened to me is whenever I pushed record, I'd sort of forget like what I was playing, and it would just start sounding really stupid. And that's just like not a very nice way to play, and I didn't want to be stressed while I'm playing, I wanted to enjoy it. So the very first thing I did was to make a little Node script that intercepted the MIDI messages coming out of my controllers, and it allowed me to do kind of what I was doing here, where I could play something and then loop it after I've played it. And then I was still using Native Instruments Machine and Ableton Live to do all the sounds. But I guess I kind of got excited about web audio. I thought it could be something fun to play with. And while I was at NodeConf in San Francisco in 2013, I was hanging out with a whole bunch of inspiring people. They're like, yeah, you should make your own software and stuff. So while I was over there, I just started like hacking on some web audio stuff. And I discovered that it actually was pretty easy to get going with it. Like, once you got over some weird issues, like how to schedule things and stuff like that. So yeah, I just started kind of like, can I actually replicate what these music programs do, and also improve so that it fits what my workflow better. So that, for instance, I like to be able to have a whole bunch of different songs loaded at the same time and be able to do mashups between them and stuff, which you can't really do unless you plan it in most other software. And I just hate planning. I don't like planning ahead. Basically, I like to be able to just do whatever I want, whenever I want, you know. I think most people want to do that. But... So, it's funny though, because along the way I discovered that there was actually like a whole way of playing music that I hadn't even thought of. Hang on, so I missed something I was going to say, is that, so until this point I was actually trying to recreate my studio recording, stuff I'd made like on a timeline, a sequencer. I was trying to play them live, and it's really difficult to play your music live when you've made it in that way, because you've made decisions that you can only make when you're editing micro times and stuff. When you go to play that live, like basically you either have to play the pre-recorded thing you made in the studio, or you have to like just come up with something new. And so what I ended up doing was deciding that I prefer to just do live music, and instead my studio recordings became recording me playing live. And so that was a really interesting thing that I never thought of doing until I just kind of was writing code, and it sort of worked. And me and Mikey, we run this thing called Art Hack in Wellington, which is basically a weekly get-together where people just kind of hack on shit and do whatever. And I just started playing a regular slot, like every week. I was just playing music, and so I had no idea, and I just like ask people in the room for an idea, and they'd say a YouTube video or something. I'd go sample that video, and then we'd start making a song around it, and then we'd have a 10-minute rave or something, or 40-minute rave. So, yeah, anyway. With Loop Drop, I'm able to make my studio process and my live performance the same thing, and I think that's pretty neat because it means that I can treat this like an instrument, kind of like how a rock band, they have guitars, they have drums and everything, and when they're playing those things live, it's actually exactly the same as when they're playing in the studio. Well, sort of. I mean, in the studio they can tweak, they can cut out all the crappy bits, they can get everything perfectly mixed and stuff. But overall, they're just capturing an actual live performance. And so something like music is so subjective. It's really hard to know like what makes something good. Like you know when it's good, but you can't there's no sort of formula, it's an intuitive thing. And so I think that playing music should be an intuitive thing as well. Anyway, enough rambling. So, none of this would have been possible if JavaScript wasn't so cool. Well, maybe it would have been, but I don't know. My path led me to JavaScript, and I found it was a really, really nice way of expressing myself and being able to automate my workflow, and so that I could create this software here. And so, I mean, I didn't have an overall design. I just started working on things, solving individual little small problems I had, and then I'd use it for a while, and then when something bugged me, I'd go back and make some more changes. And then, so it was just this really interesting co-evolution of what my tool did and how I even played music. Whoops. Anyway, so that's Electron, which is the thing I was talking about earlier. So it lets me package my web app up as a desktop application. It's pretty cool. You should definitely check it out. And it's really, really easy to get going with it. You can do like really nice, like integrated desktop-y stuff, but you can just take an existing website and a server application, and you can really, like, probably in about 20 minutes turn it into a desktop application. You just have to look at the docs. They're a bit interesting. So, why did I make Loop Drop just a desktop application? I mean, I'm using web technologies. Like, why don't I make it a website as well? Because, it's already a website. And for me, it's just that there's just certain things about the web that make it not suitable for this kind of application. And maybe in the future it will be better, and as more systems have first-class web apps, kind of like Chrome OS or what WebOS was supposed to be. Maybe in the future, but for now, I find that Electron just makes it so much easier for me to solve these problems. And I mean, you don't want to be running your music software online anyway, because like if you, like here for instance, I wouldn't have been able to play a show last night. Okay. Yeah. So the other thing is that if I actually made a web app, that means I actually have to be responsible for server uptime and all these sorts of things. And I mean, this is just an open source thing I do in my free time, sort of. And I just don't want to bother with that stuff. And yeah, it helps me stay sane, I think. And the other thing that helps me stay sane is, because this is a hobby project, it can be quite difficult to have this kind of big project, which is basically a full application, like in developing that. And I found the only way that actually works is if I don't say I'm a software developer. Instead I say I'm a musician, I play music. And basically whenever I have an issue with my music that I can't quite figure out how to solve, like by using my hands and stuff in my brain, then I go into Codeland and I figure out how to solve it there. But then as soon as I can, I come back to playing music again. And it's just, it makes it so that you don't get lost in these crazy weird rabbit holes. And it does mean my code is a little bit crap. But I have found that as long as you keep your code super modular and not depending on a whole bunch of things, that you can get away with this kind of behavior. So, Destroy with Science is the name of my music project. So what I was playing last night was a few songs from that. And really, this is kind of framing it around the other way. This is framing as if I do Loop Drop full time, but this is a lie, really. Destroy with Science is the main thing I do. So yeah, if you want to hear music made entirely with JavaScript, you can check out my SoundCloud, or I released an album on Bandcamp which I recorded where I was just jamming for hours and then recording everything I was jamming. And then I brought it all into Ableton Live and I cut out all the terrible bits and I added a bit of mastering and shiny stuff. And it came out alright, and it only took me about a week to produce the album, which is nuts. And this is a fully open source application, so I'm real keen for other people that are interested in this sort of stuff. I've got a whole ton of little pieces which you can use to build your own apps which are sort of based on some of these ideas. But if you want to contribute directly to the app, or if this is something that seems exciting to you, then yeah, check out the GitHub. And I have experimented with trying to start funding this thing with Patreon, so I don't know. Yeah. Right, so that's pretty much my talk. But the real good stuff's going to be probably now, I think, actually. 11:30. Oh no, it's not quite. So 15 minutes. I mean, we can take longer. I mean, I'm fine whenever. But yeah, Web Audio School Workshop is happening here in the next sort of half hour or so. And so what it's going to be about is looking at the real low-level primitives that I'm using for making Loop Drop. And it's a self-driven workshop where everyone has the workshop on their own computer and they just work through it and it tells you when you've got the right code. But yeah, if you've never done any web audio before, this would be great. If you have, you might learn something new. And if you already know everything about it, then yeah, don't come. And yeah, thanks a lot. I think I can take a few questions if anyone wants to ask anything.
So as I've been having a chat to a few of the speakers, today's